Okay, so welcome to the Scientia's talk series. Today we will be talking to Ms. Mirwat Shamshad. She will be give a talk on building science society and scientific methods, effectiveness in science communication. Ms. Mirwat is a National Astronomy Education Coordinator at IAU, International Astronomical Union, and she is also a graduate of Quaid-e Azam University and a CERN alumni. She has been involved in outreach and science-related activities within different high schools of Pakistan, and her students have been consistently participating in different international and national events. And so she is a very effective uh, advocate of STEM education. So I will give it to her. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you so very much, boss, for such a nice introduction. And as said by boss, that I am currently serving as National Astronomical Education Coordinator, but by profession, I'm an educator, and I am enthusiastic to bring informal science education in school curriculum, college curriculum, or whatever I can do in my domain. All right, good evening and to all. So today, my talk will revolve around scientific method and its effectiveness in science communication. And I will be discussing a case study of a high school participation in Western-based synchrotron experiment. And in the end, there will be a short activity for you guys to participate as well. So let me go in slideshow mode here. All right. So before we proceed, I would like you to take a poll. And I think for that, I have to share a link with you guys. I'll be sharing a link in the chat so that you guys can participate in a poll. So just a second, please. Okay. I guess I would have shared it in advance with you folks.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Right, here comes your videos.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have shared the
I
link
hope-
in chat, and now you may poll.
All right, so dear participants, if you can please join this link and just take a poll. It's just a very short, I guess it would take you less than a minute. All right, so the basic purpose of the taking a poll is just to gain your opinion that what is your goal as a science writer, because you have been attending this workshop over a course of the last 6 or 7 weeks, I guess so. And you must have built up enough knowledge about science communication and science writer. So what is your goal as a science writer? So this is the poll is all about.
Okay, so I guess there is an issue. Link is not proceeding. It says waiting for Mr. Shamshad's presentation to begin. Can we take the poll on chat? What do you think?
All right. So let me do it this way. If it's not working for you, let me.
Okay, so I mean, I guess
All right. So let's do it this way.
Okay, now everyone can just give
So,
participate in a poll by messaging in the chat as we usually do.
all right, all right. I
Okay,
guess
so-
that would be more convenient way. So what is your goal as a science writer? Number one, you want to share a new scientific research with the public, or do you want to develop an appreciation of the science among the public? So you can vote as writing one or either two in the chat, please. So have you started receiving the responses?
Just a second. Yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
there is a one participant said number one. I want to share a new scientific publication with public. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Another said two. I want to develop appreciation of science among public. Okay. Good. One and one. Okay. Let's see what rest of the people think. Okay. So someone else said two. So now we have two
Alright.
people appreciating the second option.
Mhm.
Okay. One and two both. Okay. So it's not a poll in that way. Someone said one and two. Well, you can have to choose one because as long as you are polling, I guess.
So I guess we have more and more participants. So
Okay.
we should be receiving, yeah, okay.
Yes. So I would have done with both if there was an option. Okay. So someone else said, but it's two and two. So two people said for the option number one, and two people have gone for option number two. Okay. Okay. Third,
Alright.
okay, three people have option number two, and now five have voted till now. Okay, so I would also vote for option number two. So
Alright.
as
Thank you,
as
Fawaz.
long as obviously I am also participating and learning in the process. So
Mhm.
now four people are saying option number two, and okay, guys, are you done? Or you can
Uh,
just message one or two depending on your answer. We can wait 20 seconds and 10 seconds, I guess.
All right, so I guess whatsoever option you have selected, so it is good to go if you want to be a science writer. So if your goal is to share an information and knowledge about a particular science topic, I guess I'm finding slides are not running here for me.
Okay, so
Uh,
I guess
My slides just got stuck. All right, it's here now. So if you want to, if your goal is to share an information and knowledge about a particular science topic with public, then it falls under science communication. And those of you who want to build a public appreciation of a science, then you must have to incorporate the scientific method element in your science writing. So from here, we'll start and explore more about the scientific method, because we have more votes for option number two. So we do respect your opinion, but we'll see that how scientific method elements are more effective in science writing communication. So I'll give you an overview of the scientific communication path, or in simple words, is a scientific method. And I guess most of us are already familiar with this scientific method because we have been taught about it in our science book since our grade 8, that the very first step of the scientific method process is to ask a question. So how do we have to ask a question? In order to ask a question, one have to make a careful observation of the surrounding and the society. And then you have to identify the potential problems. And keeping in mind those potential problems, we formulate a research question. There's a second step of a scientific method is to research existing resources. And doing this research of the existing resources will help you gain an in-depth knowledge and to get a unique approach to your intended research topic. So you gain an insight into existing resources, which will help you identify the gaps in the previously conducted researches. So all in all, you must have to do a literature review once you have taken a scientific method path in your science writing. Then as a third step, you have to formulate a hypothesis. So what is a hypothesis? Can any one of you tell me how do you take this word hypothesis, formulating a hypothesis in your scientific method process? All right. So hypothesis is basically an assumption or an idea, which is proposed for the sake of an argument so that it can be tested to see if it might be true or not. So in order to back up your idea or statement or the argument, you need a data. In order to collect the data, you have to design and conduct a study. For that, you have to perform an experiment. After performing an experiment, you will collect the data. As a fifth step of the scientific method, you have to analyze and interpret that data. And then you have to draw the conclusions from the data that you have received after performing an experiment. And lastly, you have to publish or communicate your scientific findings or the results. All right, I guess I'm finding some trouble, running up my slides. I don't know why is it happening here. It's just got stuck. Here, all right. So now I will go through a case study of a high school participation in an inquiry-based research project at a Western-based synchrotron facility where this Pleiades team, a team of 7 all-girls students, had the opportunity to construct the scientific knowledge by experiencing the scientific research method. And this was undertaken. I would like to restate one thing that this project was undertaken during the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020. And during this project, we had 2 mentors which were attached with us from the synchrotron facility, because this is a Western-based synchrotron facility and it is an international research facility. So we were connected with the 2 mentors from that facility. So as a part of the scientific method process, this team has to formulate or define a research question. So the team of the 7 girls, they identify or define a research question. And how did they define or identify the research question? The very first step was that they have brainstormed potential research questions ranging from environment, agriculture, health, food, and industrial products. And then in the next steps, the girls ruled out a few questions and narrowed it down further to one as their final research question. So how this was done? So the questions that the girls have a brainstorm were from different areas. One of the team members suggested to do a research on rice contamination to find out the heavy metal concentration in rice. Second came up with an idea, why not to investigate the cosmetics and in particular the skin whitening products. Then another one came up with an idea, why not to monitor the rainwater for pollution indicator in the two cities of Pakistan, Islamabad and Rawalpindi, or to see the acidity level of the rainwater. So there was another girl who came up with an idea, why not to investigate the dry fruits and see the presence of sulfur in these dried dry fruits. Another came up with an idea that why not to collect the soil samples from the archaeological sites of Pakistan to see the bioelement present in those soil samples. And another one, why not to study the mineral rocks and other stones from the mine sites in Pakistan. But formulating all these research questions, they have to rule out some of the questions so that they can narrow down their research or to identify the one final question as their research project. So they have ruled out the questions. How have they ruled out the question? Because there were certain limitations for us. Limitations were in the form of collecting the samples. Limitations were in the form of the research facility, because the research facility had something to offer to us, but there are some restrictions and limitations on the technological side of the research facility. And there was also some restrictions from the, shipping the samples to international country. So if we particularly talk about the rice contamination, this was ruled out because if we have to select a rice sample for that, we do need the soil of that particular area from where we have collected the rice. And that was not very doable for us because, as said earlier, the project was conducted during COVID-19 pandemic, and the whole experiment was conducted remotely. And due to the lockdown situations and the SOP protocols and some other limitations, we were unable to go into central Punjab and go to the field site and collect the rice along with the soil sample. Hence, this option was ruled out. Then to rainwater. So yes, we can collect the rainwater samples, but there were some restrictions sending those samples to international country. So this option was also ruled out. Then, as said earlier, that there was some limitation in the technology at the synchrotron facility where we can identify some of the elements, but the rest cannot be identified. Hence, this option of investigating the dry food for sulfur presence was also ruled out. Then comes the soil sample from the archaeological sites. So from archaeological sites, these are the preserved sites, and to take the soil samples, we have to consider some ethical issues. We have to take the permissions in advance, and considering all those COVID situations and the lockdown situations, this option and the later one, the mineral rock option, was also ruled out. So we were left with one option, that was the skin whitening products. So this question was the final research question. And though this final research question also went through a lot of iterations, and lastly, the final form of the research question comes out to be to investigate the relative concentration of heavy metals in skin whitening products in Pakistan for their toxicity limit using two techniques which were available at that experimental facility. The team also thought of giving a provocative title to their research project, though this part was done later at the end of this project, where they have to present their findings, where they have to communicate their findings. So this was a provocative or a catchy title that the team had given. The fair in fairness claims a hazardous lie, the synchrotron sheds light on dark side of fairness claims. So after going through the first step of that scientific research method, that was asking a question or identifying a question, as a second step was to do a literature review. So students were engaged in doing a literature review to improve the scientific knowledge and to enhance the scientific vocabulary. And this has given them insight to the past research, which was conducted previously globally and specific to Pakistan. So these were the outcomes. And doing a literature review is always beneficial, even if you are writing any science topic or so. For that, you should be referring to the past research that has been conducted in that particular area or a topic in order to give and effectively communicate your science topic to your audience. So this was the literature review. After doing the literature review, these were the gains that we came to know about the global impact of the cosmetic industry. We came to know about the Minamata Convention. This was a convention and which was conducted in 2013, and 28 countries, they have joined their hands together to limit the use of mercury in products by 2020. And Pakistan was also one of the signatory of this Minamata Convention. So after going through this literature review, we also came across that the research has already been conducted at the local and the global level pertaining to these skin whitening products. And one such organization is the European Environmental Bureau, which has conducted a research. And interestingly, we came to know that the few skin whitening products that they have identified were manufactured in Pakistan. And they have a high amount of mercury present in those products, and which are hazardous to human health. So from here, we have built up our hypothesis. So this team has formulated the hypothesis as, has Pakistan successfully limited mercury use in skin lightening products, or are there any other hazardous metals of concern in these products? So this was the formulated hypothesis, and then the later scientific method process revolves around this hypothesis. We have to conduct and design a study. So in order to do that, this team has thought of giving a quantitative orientation to their research project. For that, they conducted a social science survey. And in order to get a social science survey, these were the aims behind. In order so that they want to collect the data in terms of the phenotype among the population of Islamabad. They also want to get the information depending upon the socioeconomic conditions, socioeconomic status of the consumers, those who are using these skin whitening products, and how frequently they are using, and what are the pressure, societal pressure, or what are the other stereotype thinking which are affecting these respondents to apply those skin whitening products or using these skin whitening products in their daily usage. So after designing the study, we have had our meeting with our mentors, and during our meeting, we were asked to connect to one of the field experts who can guide us on conducting an authentic survey. So we have connected to one of the field scientists, and the field scientist has guided us to conduct a survey keeping in mind the ethical values, because keeping the confidentiality of the respondent is very important. And keeping all these factors in mind, the students have conducted a survey. One thing to state here, when you are writing your science topic, you can also consider conducting a similar sort of, or maybe you can come up with your own tool of gathering a data pertaining to your particular research or particular science topic. So the girls have conducted this online survey. They have also connected to the trans activists, because this community is particularly in habit of using these skin whitening products. So for that, we have connected to one of the transgender who has helped us circulating this survey in their community. So for easy readability, students have also translated the survey in Urdu language, and they have also audio dubbed this for people who do not have a formal education, so that it can be reached out to as many people. Because it was a COVID situation, and the only medium for us was to circulate it through social media. So we have to take all these points in mind so that people can easily respond to those questions. So after conducting the survey, here comes the data interpretation part.